No, we have a bunch of waiting, but we have to work on them like completely levels. So I need like two, maybe.
Debbie, are we ready in the back? We are. Great. Jane, are we ready in the front? Super colleagues?
We don't picking on me?
No, but we'll hold
Yeah, I'm
that off
ready.
for
I'm ready,
later.
Daddy.
Okay. Okay. Well then, good morning. Today is Wednesday, October 29th, 2025, and we'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149. Conference ID 866-914-607#. Audio capabilities are listen only and are offered on are available at tctvonline.com. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute their phone. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute your phone when your agenda item is ready to be discussed. For those joining via computer, please unmute your microphone and turn on your camera when your agenda item is called. All others must remain muted with their cameras turned off. Thank you. Public comment. Those intending to provide public comment to the board may attend in person or email submissions to the public comments email on our website. Public comments received by 12 p.m. on Tuesday will be distributed to the board, posted online before the meeting, and become part of the public record. You may also provide public comment virtually by registering ahead of time. To register, please email public comments by 12 p.m. on the Tuesday prior to the board meeting. Public comments can also be mailed to the Board of Commissioners Office, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon, 97141. For more information on public comment options, please visit the Board of Commissioners webpage. All right, I know that I have 4 people in the room signed up for comment. Do I have anyone online, Debbie?
Do Shane Boland.
Shane Boland, okay.
He just raised his hand.
Okay, perfect. And is that also for Merle, do we know?
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, excellent. Well, we love it. We have people in the room, so thank you everyone for being here. It just feels so much more real, I think, at least, to me, other than talking to empty chairs and trusting that people out there are with us. So thank you for being with us this morning. If you are with us, we hope that you have signed the guest list, and then I also have the public comment sign-ins up here, but we hope you've also signed the guest list. And we will begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Fournier, if you would, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, perfect. All right. So we will go ahead and start with our public comment. I'm just going to take folks in the order that they signed up, and we will finish with our online commenter. So Briar Smith, please.
I'm just here to
Okay.
thank you that we are very excited about Merle. And
So for public comment, if you wouldn't mind coming to the front, because people online can't hear you if you're not actually in front of the microphone.
That's green.
And it should be turned on green. And I believe that public comments are 2 minutes. So we just try to, so that we don't end up with a whole meeting. So, and if you would please identify yourself in the area of the county that you're from.
okay, thank you. Briar Smith, Tillamook County Habitat for Humanity. I live in Tillamook proper. I'm just here in support and thank you and appreciation for Merle. It's going to make a big difference in building affordable homes. We don't make a profit to build affordable homes. We lose money. That is what our nonprofit mission is to help build community homes in hope. And we sell them at an affordable price, which is impossible for us to build at. So any help that we can get to help subsidize and make that possible so people can be investing their money into where they're living and have a decent place to live and grow, and all those things that come after, like education and graduating high school, and all the wonderful side effects that we know that owning a home and getting to have somewhere safe to live for the kids and the parents and families is possible because of help like Merle. So I really just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Briar.
Okay, Clayton Taylor. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Do I have to push it, or is it?
If it's
good?
green, you're good.
Cool. My name is Clayton Taylor. I'm here representing the Oregon Coast Housing Group. By trade, I'm an architect. I live in Multnomah County, but we've been working in Tillamook County specifically for the last 2 years, trying to get a workforce housing specific project up and running and put together. The group I represent, Oregon Coast Housing Group, is a localized nonprofit to Lincoln, Clatsop, and Tillamook counties. We're focused on building workforce housing in these counties and creating a kind of self-sufficient program for housing to come online. Over the last 2 years, as we've kind of driven towards finding and figuring out middle-income housing and getting it to work at scale in Tillamook County, Merle became the thing that I think really unlocked the project for us and really helped it become a reality, and also kind of tied it together with the way we've kind of structured our nonprofit in the region. So it's an incredible program, and so excited to see it come together. And I think it's kind of the thing that I think we've been looking for quite a while now. So we see this as kind of a big horizon on the kind of moment of building more middle income housing and really starting to stabilize that kind of tier of housing production in the county. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, April Bailey.
Good morning, April Bailey. I'm from Nescoin, lifetime resident, representing myself, but I do want to say I would love to see you all earlier this month in recognition of National Charlie Kirk Remembrance Day. That didn't happen. But I am here on behalf of myself. I don't have very long, as you know, it's 2 minutes, so I'm going to forego some really relevant information to this topic and going to ask you to vote no on this master agreement. The reason being is that I am very concerned about the county basically being a co-signer on these developer loans from taxpayer funds and losing 10 years of county property tax. Instead, I think you should consider a different kind of resolution, possibly one that would give residents, Tillamook County residents of 5 years or more, that are first-time home buyers or builders, possibly even remodels, as sometimes properties are not able to be lived in by families if they're not remodeled, to forego property taxes for 3 years, and then you need to drastically reduce the fees for building. That is a huge problem. I know people building homes right now, they're having a huge problem with that. You know you've increased them recently. There's more fees, there's more things that need to be inspected. I mean, now there's something on the inspection list for a barbecue grill, very interesting. So I'm asking you to rethink this. It was a huge document to try to get through in a short amount of time for Tillamook County residents. The law is a huge document to go through. So most people haven't seen this. I appreciate the testimony of those before, but I'm looking at it from an individual perspective instead of a developer and even a nonprofit perspective. And I'd ask you to vote no and at least postpone it and consider some other options. Thank you.
Thank you, April.
Thank you, April.
Okay, next up, Kristen Kopchick. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Kristen Koptiuk. I live at 9670 Scenic View Drive in Rockaway Beach in Tillamook County. And I'm here as a representative for the Housing Commission, which I've served on for a few years now. I am very much in support of MERL, the Moderate Income Revolving Loan Program, and I really think it's a great opportunity for the county. A kind of win-win-win in which the county gets something, the state gets something, the city gets something, the developer gets something, and houses appear for people to actually live in. And as you know, we all really need all kinds of houses in Tillamook County. $75 million allocated by the state could go up if there's demonstrated need. It serves up to 120 area median, 120% of the area median income for middle housing. As you know, there's very few subsidy supports for public housing for middle income workforce housing. And there are plenty of federal programs for the affordable housing level for moderate, really low-income people, but there's almost nothing for middle-income people. And this is a really great opportunity to fill the last gap in the funding stacks of developers. And we've got a couple of great opportunities already in the pipeline. For instance, the Maker Development Tillamook Bay Commons next to the post office, which is a brownfield site. Nothing is really on it. It's bringing in almost no taxes whatsoever. Yes, there's a tax abatement that the county will lose out on, but it's a revolving loan, so it kind of comes back again and helps to support the production of housing units that are desperately needed in the county. So I hope that you will please support Merle and carry through on this complicated, yes, complicated. It's a contract. It's all very carefully monitored. The county assessor determines the tax rate.
You wrap up, Kristen. We're hitting our two.
And I hope that you will support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have online a comment from Shane Boland.
Thank you for having me. My name's Shane. I work in development and construction in coastal communities and work in the development of affordable housing. And I wanted to share, around 2 projects I'm working on where Merle is integral in getting those projects completed. And I think those projects wouldn't be able to come into existence without the funding from Merle. So to that point, is while the taxes are getting abated, they wouldn't be present because I think it's a site that wouldn't be developable in another case. I also want to add, compared to a standard tax abatement program, which often leaves kind of a tax cliff for residents or owners as kind of a 10-year tax abatement drops off, the way the Merle program is structured has a lot more consistency for homeowners because it kind of pushes the taxes upfront to reduce the development cost and sales price and gives homeowners or property owners kind of a consistency as compared to other tax abatement structures. So I find it to be a really good mechanism to provide long-term affordability for home ownership that doesn't have any changes or readjustments in the tax basis for the folks who are living there. So I just really think it's a really thoughtful program that will help get needed housing built. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Shane. Okay, perfect. That was our public comment for today. So thank you to everyone who joined us and made public comment. We appreciate that. Slide that out of my way so I don't knock it on the floor while doing things. Okay, so we have one non-agenda item today that's unscheduled that we will take after item 5, but we will begin with item 5, which is consideration of master agreement number 9167 with the State of Oregon Housing and Community Services Department for the Moderate Income Revolving Loan Program. And we have Sarah Absher, Director of Community Development, with us this morning. Sarah, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here on behalf of Community Development to present this master agreement to you. This master agreement follows the resolution that the Board of County Commissioners passed on September 17th that made us eligible to take this next step with OHCS to enter into the master agreement to start a local moderate income revolving loan fund for projects in Tillamook County. So before you is that agreement. This is the next step for us to start being able to welcome and receive Merle applications. And so to talk about that piece really quickly, should the commissioners choose to sign this today, and I'm happy to answer any questions about anything you may have about this program or some of the testimony that you've received this morning. Once this agreement, if this agreement is signed, moving forward, it now puts the county in a position specifically for 3 projects, 2 of which you've heard from this morning in public testimony, to move forward to work with the county assessor's office on that monetary assessment, that value assessment, and submit an application to Tillamook County, which then, should the board approve those applications, send to the state for final review and award. So the money will come from the state of Oregon through OHCS. With that, as what was mentioned in public comment, the intent of this program really is that last mile funding, that but for. So it's those financial gaps. And we are aware that we do have at least 3 projects in our county that are all focused on workforce and affordable housing that are in desperate need of this but for last mile funding. So with signature of this agreement, we would be able to move forward to receive those applications to bring back to you for consideration to then allow the application process through OHCS. We appreciate the work of the County Assessor's Office, our partners with the Board of Commissioners and others who have helped us get to a point to where we're at today. We continue to work with OHCS. As you know, they are excited and eager for a jurisdiction to take advantage and become part of this process. With this, some of the other next steps will be to continue to work with OHCS to continue development of the program for the reporting, et cetera. So there's a couple of things in this master agreement that put Tillamook County in the driver's seat for responsibility for things like reporting and management of those documents as projects move forward that are recipients of these loans. One of the things to note in the agreement is that community development is the contact person for the sponsoring jurisdiction, because community development staff, myself, Parker, will continue to be the primary contact and the responsible staff for making sure that that reporting, all of those deadlines that OHCS is requiring, are completed timely. So if you choose to sign, then we are able to start working with local housing partners to get some applications to the state for last mile funding.
Thank you. And I know we had some online questions from public comment. Can you quickly address those for us, please? I think it's better for you than us.
Sure, certainly. Happy to do that. So a couple of the things that came up as concern about county's fiscal responsibility, and I think we heard that this morning as well, is concerns about co-signing and liability. So the county's responsibility is to the reporting. We do not have there is no financial risk for the county in terms of if a loan is not repaid. And I think Mr. Sargent can further expand on that if needed. A couple of other things, this is really focused on, again, those projects where you're looking at 3 or more units. What's exciting about this program is that it could be for 3 or more single-family dwellings. It could be for an apartment, right? So we've had the opportunity to decide what type of housing developments do we want to support with this last mile, the but-for funding approach. So this opens the door for Habitat and others who are committed in one way or another to a development project that is 3 or more units. With that, there's a conversation, a couple of comments have come up in testimony about prevailing wages. Yes, they may apply. There's all kinds of rules and laws that make that determination, and that is outside of our purview. Those are responsibilities to the developer. Our focus is to support, again, to close those financial gaps in a way that we can with limited financial risk to the county. And then basically what it is for developers, it's demonstration of that last 10% that they need. So really the application and the heavy lift initially is on the applicants to demonstrate that this is their last mile funding, this is their 10% and their but-for. And ultimately it is the state that has the final decision of whether or not these funds should be awarded. We become the pass-through, we become the gatekeepers, we become the supporters, and then the administrators for that reporting later on if those loans are awarded. And then with that, because we do value our partners, and not just our developer partners, but others, we've talked about making sure the Housing Commission has an opportunity to engage in this process and others, because what Parker and I envision is that when we come to you with a loan application for board consideration to pass through to OHCS, that we want to make sure that there's that community support and communication. And that's not only with the county as an organization, but it's our partners like our school districts and our cities and others, because we are all a part of this program. So that communication of bringing those applications forward to you with that support is really important to us. So I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Thank you. Commissioners, other questions or comments?
Are we ready to deliberate?
If you have any other information you'd like to have from Sarah?
I have one question for Sarah. Can you speak to the benefits of us, as Tillamook County, being one of the early adopters of Merle, regards to access to the funds? 'Cause
Yes.
there is a finite amount of money.
There is. And so there is, thank you, Commissioner. That's an excellent question. So there is allocated $75 million as part of this loan fund that this state has allocated. And 50 million of that is available the first 2 years after the program launch, and the remaining 25 million will be added to the program after the 2-year mark. Of this, because the state recognizes how difficult it is for housing developments in areas outside of the metro, so more rural areas, smaller communities, et cetera. And, as we know, there's a lot of challenges to building. What's really important about this program is that they have already set aside $10 million specifically earmarked for communities like Tillamook County to give us a head start. And what's exciting is not only do we have access to that $10 million right now that others do not, but we can also still dip into that larger pool of money that they have set aside. So time really is of the essence. Coos Bay is the only other community in the state of Oregon that has started this program. We will be number 2, and I believe Coos County or Crescent City, there's another Southern Oregon community that is right behind us. But this money is on the table. And if we don't try to help our, development, our housing partners get it, someone else is going to. And the fact that there's that money earmarked just for areas like ours is really exciting, that the state has recognized we need that help.
Thank you. Other questions?
That's all that question I had for her.
So then, yes, I think we're ready to begin deliberation.
Well, thank you, everyone, for your comments. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Debbie, for the microphone reminder. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being here today. It is delightful to have people in the room, and it was a great variety of comments that we heard today. I appreciate developers being here, and Breyer from Habitat for Humanity, whose whole job is about affordable housing, and Kristen and your service on the Housing Commission. Thank you all for your comments. I'm excited about this program, and for one reason, because when I became involved with the commission almost 7 years ago, we were talking about housing and how to get it started, because it really wasn't, workforce housing wasn't happening at all. We were talking about what are the gaps, and the gaps were the gaps were making it even pencil out for developers, because it wasn't penciling out for developers. And it was clear that it needed to work for people to be willing to do it. There were people who wanted to do it, couldn't afford to do it. It needed to work. And I'm supportive of business. It was totally obvious why people would build multi-million-dollar homes that were profitable. But we needed people to come in and build workforce housing that was not profitable. So this, I think, is a fabulous tool to be able to do the but for. I hadn't heard that until this morning, but I'd heard the last mile funding. And I've heard from developers who've used similar tax abatement programs. For instance, the Kingfisher Apartments in Pacific City, that those could not have been done without tax abatement. And so I think this is great. And also the revenue, I think on the horizon, probably most of us know that there's a looming budgetary crisis with state government. So I am grateful that this money is still available for this, and I can see that it potentially won't be in the future, because it looks like there will be cuts to everything in the future, in the near future. And so I think this is great. And I wanted to mention that I really appreciated Shane's comment about that his project simply couldn't be done without this help. And therefore, we wouldn't be missing out on any taxes, because there wouldn't be taxes assessed, because the project wouldn't be done. So it's, the but for is a full circle. And so in that case, Tillamook County can expect to receive those taxes in 10 years that we wouldn't receive otherwise. So I'm all for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a couple of things. One was that concern. I used to think too, we're not getting this tax money, we wouldn't have got it anyway if they weren't being built. And we do have that 10 years from now, that money will enter the budget, will enter the coffers, and we'll definitely be needing it then. I do agree with April's comments about, I would love, and Sarah knows this about me, I would love more help for just a local person to have some breaks. And maybe that's something we need to look at, but I don't want to throw this one out the window because this doesn't address that. Although I would also say, with Habitat here is a perfect example, is with the new zoning changes that we're making for workforce housing, middle housing, and ADUs, and the fact that even on my small piece of property, I could potentially put 3 cottage units on there that could be sold. So being creative with this funding, developers can use small land, Habitat can use this to create opportunities for home ownership for people where it wouldn't have happened before. So I'm really excited about that, because I do agree that apartments aren't ideal, condos aren't ideal, townhouses aren't ideal for people, but for the example we have is one of these projects, they pre-leased every single unit, so they had to expand the project. So they expand the project, which means more taxes in 10 years that the county will receive because of the value of the project goes up. So, and I do believe adopting this early gives us access to those funds that once other counties and cities see this, they're going to start grabbing at it. So we might as well get ours while we can. That's all I got. So I am in support of this.
Perfect, thank you. I think my colleagues have probably said just about all there is to say. You all know that I am a very strong supporter of all the tools we can possibly put in our toolbox to get housing built in Tillamook County. And just a quick teaser, I'm excited to share that you will be hearing from Parker in the upcoming months about the housing needs assessment that we updated. And we have moved the dial already in Tillamook County. There are fewer families who are housing cost burdened today than there were when we started this work. And so I think we're on the right track. Good things are happening. Every tool that we can get is something we want to explore, and I think this is a really good one. We already have the tax abatement, which would have allowed developers to get a tax abatement on the back end, but this actually takes that money and puts it right up front when they need it the most during development. So it's just a really important tool that allows us to say, whatever the developer is working with, we've got an option to try to help you. So I think it will make the difference, and I'm excited. So I would be happy to entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of Master Agreement Number 9167 with the State of Oregon Housing and Community Services Department for the Moderate Income Revolving Loan Program.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate
very
that. Thank
much.
you to everyone who came and commented. We appreciate that. Okay, we are going to move on to our unscheduled item, which is consideration of change order number 2 to contract number 6418, contract for general services with Day Wireless Systems for the upfitting of police vehicles project. Matt Kelly, Undersheriff, Sheriff's Office. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you this morning for your consideration is our renewal of our contract with Day Wireless System. This is a contract that allows us to upfit our vehicles for the Sheriff's Office. It's a pretty labor-intensive process. Makes me think back to when I first started. We were building Cars, the county shops used to do it, and our center consoles were made out of plywood. And the technology is advanced ridiculously. They're basically a computer, boxes that control the light bars, or will do different things. Like when you, used to be an issue when you get out of a car, the light bar would actually blind you a little bit. So when you approach whatever situation, you were kind of stunned for a second. But now the technology is so advanced that when you open the car door, that side of the light bar will shut off. And then when the door shuts, it'll come back on. It increases officer safety. And that's just one tidbit. There's all different things. You can wire it so where they hit the horn, and the entire front of the vehicle turns white. All the lights turn on bright white to illuminate the area. It's pretty impressive, but some useless information. But this is our contract to increase so we can outfit our vehicles.
Thank you. No, interesting information. It's, we get to know fun stuff as commissioners because experts like you come in and go, this is what's important. It's cool. Questions or comments, commissioners?
Not useless. No, I think that's very interesting, and I'm glad the technology has improved. It never occurred to me the issue about being blinded by the light bar, but it makes sense, and I'm glad they've come up with a fix for that.
It's a bunch of silly things. It's just like you'll see when we do felony stops, usually a problem is it's a very high intensity situation that our adrenalines are running fast. So when they jump out of the car, they throw it in park, sirens are still on. Well, then you're yelling at somebody or giving orders or commands and nobody can hear anything. Well, they realize that. So now when you put the vehicle in park, the siren automatically shuts off. So it's not something that would lost in that high stress situation. Then people can hear what's going on in the situation. Just, there's a lot of neat things. And every year it's, I have conversations with our reps, say, what's new? What's going on now? What is the new thing? And there's always something. There's always 10 new things. It's kind of neat.
But conversely, when it doesn't work, nothing works.
It is a computer. It's just,
Exactly
it is very computerized, high tech. So yeah, it's those little things that, okay, what is that? What wire, what circuit breaker is not working, or what program needs to be reset?
Yeah, like you said, this is something, when I started, same thing, county parks were building us, they didn't understand, like, even having amber lights in the back could save officers' lives. Like, so the technology and safety studies have improved, so it does do that. I didn't know that it would shut off the light bar. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, I mean, of course I'm in support of this.
And we've had a contract with Day Wireless for a long time. They've been a good contractor for us, and
Yeah, it's, I just text my rep this morning thing, and he responds back to me. It's a good working relationship. There's a handful of companies that are reputable within the state that do this service, and all 36 counties and all 100 and some police departments are using these. So it's a little challenging to get in a quick time, but they're good companies.
What is the turnaround now, averaging?
It's a long
almost
time.
a year. We had some real early times, maybe not with this contractor.
Yeah, it's challenging. I have a truck on a waiting list that is scheduled for February.
Yeah.
So, but everything, I've reached out to other undersheriffs and patrol commanders, and we're all fighting for those 4 or 5 companies, and it is what it is. I don't think I can get it better. Otherwise, I would.
yeah. All right, thank you. I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of change order number 2 to contract number 6418, contract for general services with Day Wireless Systems for the upfitting of police vehicles.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, we will move on to board concerns. Does anyone have board concerns today?
Not this morning.
One for me.
I do, so I'll chat for just a minute. I just, before this meeting, got off a call with the board at the Association of Oregon Counties. There were 2 items at that board meeting that do affect us, and so I want to go ahead and chat about both of those. The first one is our CFAA, which is our agreement with our community mental health providers. There is a special meeting of all membership of AOC that will be held on November 7th at 10 a.m. I will be leading the FTLAC meeting at that time. Commissioner Fournier, as a voting member of FTLAC, likely you would also attend. I don't know, Commissioner Bell, if you are available on November 7th at 10 a.m. This meeting is for county councils who have been working on this agreement. Joel has been, I believe, our representative on this for many years. I assume that Frank Hadley Williams, as our community mental health program director, will attend. But we also, as commissioners, are invited to attend and hear the information directly from county councils and mental health directors, because we are going to be asked by November 10th to either sign this agreement or not sign this agreement based on whether or not we feel the protections that have been put in it by OHA are enough for us. And we've talked about this off and on over the last year, because we're in a 6-month extension right now because they could not come to agreement on the language. So we will be asked to make a decision, and this meeting is the opportunity for questions to be asked. So I just wanted to make sure it was on the radar and see if we as commissioners wanted to make a plan to make sure we had someone in attendance. I believe Joel will be in attendance, so we certainly could ask Joel our own questions as we have done in the past, but sometimes it's beneficial to hear what other commissioners are thinking about. Certainly, this is a different level of risk for every county, because we are a small county and because we have met with Frank and talked about the number of folks that we have on aid and assist and psychiatric review board and different things like that. It's a small number for us of individuals, but should one of those individuals not do well in our community and create harm, it can be a huge liability to us. So, because the state is really limiting what they're willing to put into this contract related to coverage liability-wise for counties. So I think it's important that whether we are present in the meeting, whether we hear from Joel or review the recording of the meeting, that for all of us to be well informed. And because CFTLC happens to happen at the same time, I wanted us to talk about it.
Tag your, because I will be, unless I can go virtually, because I will be out of town that day. So
Okay.
I was either going to attend the FTLAC meeting virtually or this one. Or I might even be on a plane at this time, so.
If I'm available, I'll definitely go. And Joel sent me an email about it recently, and I think we're all interested. So if I'm available, I'll go.
Okay.
And definitely I'll review whatever happens. And Joel's been really good about updating us as well, I think.
He has. I think we've stayed in touch, and I think it's just going to get to a challenge point where what the state is saying is if counties do not sign this agreement, we will simply step away from counties being the recipients of these funds, and we'll find someone else to do it. Which,
Good luck.
right, is a call your bluff moment. And I think that we have been at this call your bluff moment in the past. We did it 2 years ago, I think, Bill, you might remember. And we called their bluff, and ultimately an agreement was negotiated, and I think we're there again. So.
One of the big sticking points, as you probably know, Commissioner Scar, is like they're telling you, you have to do these services.
Yep.
They're mandated and they're prioritized. But what they don't want to say is, what if we don't have the money to do it anymore? We'd like, some sort of an escape valve, that these are subject to us having enough money to do them. And the state's so far really been adamant that they're not going to include language like that, which normally you see, and certainly you see it in state agreements that they say, we'll give you the money as long as, we have enough, but they don't want to do that here. And so that's a big sticking point.
It is a big sticking point, because we could end up as a county footing the bill for individuals that the state determines should be released from either the state mental hospital back to our community where they are to receive supports, or out of prison, frankly, back to our community where it becomes our responsibility and the responsibility of our community mental health provider to support them and ensure community safety, which obviously also includes our sheriff's department, probation, parole. I mean, our whole systems at that point are going to be asked to support and provide community safety, and they are not guaranteeing funding. So you're right, that is the issue. It used to say something to the effect of if funds are available or as funds are available, and they have removed that statement, and they absolutely will not put it back in. So the fight is on. All right, thank you. I just want to make sure you knew about that one. And then the other thing I wanted to take a moment to talk about was the potential loss of SNAP benefits for residents of our community on November 1st. That was also a topic of conversation at the AOC meeting this morning. And I just wanted to update you on what other counties are doing, as well as what Oregon Food Bank in our own county is doing. So I think that you both know, but maybe not, so or those folks who may be watching. In Tillamook County, our food network, our emergency food network, is coordinated through Oregon Food Bank. They are the operator of our regional food bank, which means that for our pantries and our meal sites in Tillamook County, they all participate as a network with Oregon Food Bank, and they all receive at least a portion of the foods that they distribute through Oregon Food Bank. So Oregon Food Bank is kind of our point of contact and our hub on this. So I have been in touch with Julia Wenzel at Oregon Food Bank to understand what they are doing at this time. So she will be on the radio today with Shayna talking about what Oregon Food Bank is doing in our community and some suggestions for how members of our community can get involved and support those who are likely to lose their food support. And I think Representative Javity shared this on the radio a couple of weeks ago. There are 5,000 people in Tillamook County specifically that receive SNAP benefits. Many of these folks are seniors, they are disabled, they are very low income families with children. So when we look at who this is going to impact, it is our very vulnerable population. So obviously counties across the state are feeling a need to be a part of response. Oregon Food Bank here is suggesting donate money to either Oregon Food Bank or your local pantry. They have much better purchasing power than individuals. It's probably no longer 7 cents a pound, but when I was involved with this, when CARE was the regional food bank, which goes back about 15 years, 7 cents a pound, we could purchase food. You cannot purchase food for 7 cents a pound at the grocery store. So again, I expect that number has gone up, but still recognizing, if you're thinking, do I go buy food or do I make a donation to my local pantry or Oregon Food Bank, money goes further running it through the system. So I encourage people to think about that. But if you have an affinity for your particular pantry or food bank, please do what feels right for your heart. And if donating food makes sense for you, we invite you to do that. Commissioner Bell, you gave a great example on the radio yesterday about turning over your emergency food box that you have for disasters and using this opportunity to go ahead and donate those foods to the local pantry, so that, because it's something you're going to need to do anyway, right? So it's a good time to do that. Other things that were recommended were, as a business, and I don't know if we can do this as the county, would be to set up a food barrel here for our own staff to have an opportunity to donate, and we can get it to the pantries.
We've done it
So I would put that on the table for us to have as a conversation if that's something we would like to do. The other thing she shared is that the food pantries were already operating beyond maximum capacity before the freeze to SNAP benefits. So our network is struggling to have the capacity to really step up in this time of need and meet the additional needs. So it's really important that we as community members take the opportunity, if we are able, to help. So there is an option to adopt a SNAP family and buy them groceries. So this is not a formal structured thing. If you know someone in your life or in your community that you feel like you would like to help, kind of like we do at Christmas time for Christmas baskets, please take that initiative yourself. That is an opportunity for people. We talked about.
Is there an organizer for that, like to connect people?
There is not, and I have asked Julia to confirm that, but to the best of my knowledge, there is not currently a structure for that. So again, that really works if you know someone in your community. You can also go to your local food pantry, and they may be able to help with that. Often they know who in the community is who's going to need that. Set up leave a can, take a can table at your business, which helps both folks who need food and those who would like to contribute food. Because what may be very true is that people coming in may not be familiar with the food pantry locations. They may not be able to meet the normal hours of the food pantry. If you have the ability, people can come in and get it as they need it in your business. So if that feels right for you, again, these are all different options depending on what feels right for people. Watch for pay it forward options at local grocery stores. They've confirmed that Grocery Outlet and Chester's will be doing that, where you can pay for groceries that will be there, and someone coming in behind you who needs groceries will be able to get those. So it's kind of like, you know, buy the coffee for the next person behind you in the car at Dutch Bros, only it's groceries. And so Grocery Outlet and Chester's are participating in that program so far. So be aware of that. So then those came from the Oregon Food Bank for our community. The other things that were talked about today at the county commissioner level, Clackamas County is looking at declaring a state of emergency around hunger. In their case, they have some funding and they are going to purchase some food, and then they will activate their emergency networks to distribute that food. So from their perspective, it opens up resources for them. It obviously also makes a statement. So I would encourage us to think about if that makes sense. Should the federal government not resolve this by November 1st? I don't think we're there today, but just to let you know, that is something that is being done by other counties. The other is a letter to the state asking them to consider backfilling for the most vulnerable. Right now, the state has indicated they don't have resources. It would have to be an e-board action. So there are some counties who are putting a letter forward with that ask. So those are the two things that counties are doing in addition to what Oregon Food Bank has recommended. So I just wanted to have this conversation so that we could talk about if there is a role for the county and what that might look like.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. This is the first time I'm hearing the idea of declaring a hunger emergency, a food emergency, but it's certainly going to be an emergency for the people who are hungry. And so I think that's a worthwhile thing to consider if it will enable us to do more. We have had food drives here in the courthouse before, and I think they were successful. They were more successful when they were competitions. People are competitive, even in their good works. So I think we could launch that, and it would be great. And so I'm all for that and starting it soon. And we just need to figure out whose job that's going to be.
Correct.
Like
So
who's
is the
going to lead
challenge.
that, right?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be, I don't think it would be hard to just put out barrels and then figure out who's going to, probably Kevin, who's going to end up taking them to the food bank. And it's just such a painful issue. I believe the state doesn't have the funds. We don't have the funds to feed 5,000 people in our community, but it's really a very serious issue, and it's painful. I can tell you that my family, as children, we received food stamps, and it was. You could, I won't, but you could argue all day that if my parents had been more responsible, we wouldn't have needed them, but that was the situation we were in. So I can tell you that as 3 children, we would not have eaten without them because they weren't supplemental. They were all of the food budget. And if we ran out before the end of the month, we were out of food. And sometimes we could go to the food bank to fill in the gaps with stuff like powdered milk or commodity cheese, et cetera, which we were grateful to get if that was there. But what I understand is food banks are short now. And so because their funding has also been drastically reduced. And so there isn't going to be an excess of food at the food banks for people to be able to go and make up the difference. So really what we're talking about is heading into a time of full-blown American hunger like we probably haven't seen since the Great Depression for 100 years. So really, that's what this looks like. And it's heartbreaking, and I think we should all figure out what we can and are willing to do as individuals and also as a government.
Thank you. Mr. Fournier, any thoughts?
I'm all for, I think doing the in-house drive is a good idea. I think, letter to the state would be really good. I would be interested in that because there is some funding available because we didn't have the firefighting funds come out of emergency funding. It's a generic fund, and so if we didn't use it for fires this year, it was not a bad fire year. There is money available for doing stuff like this, whether it's enough or not, I don't know. But if they were to declare an emergency, there is some funding for that. The other thing you could do, just as government, I feel like maybe you could do it, we could do a resolution. We announce months or special, we could do November is food donation to food, the food bank month to kind of encourage people to do that. Because I think that's a good idea. But,
Yeah, I think one of the big things, since we don't, obviously, we don't have the money to backfill, but the awareness that we have, to your point, to be able to bring awareness to this issue is something that we do have. We have a pedestal as county government, just to get information out and have people say, oh, I didn't know that.
Is AOC preparing any letter to the state
Not at this time.
as an organization?
Yeah, not at this
What
time.
about
But
NACO to the feds?
that I don't know. Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I think Clackamas County was going to share their letter, and I think Marion County was the one that was submitting one to the E-Board that had already written one, so those will both be available on the AOC. So what I will do is I will follow up on both the state of emergency declarations that are being done and the letters to the state and see if there's a space in there. I think if you wouldn't mind, Commissioner, about talking to Randy about if we did a state of emergency, what does that access for us? Because that really is about the emergency management system at the state level. So I would love
How
to know.
many MREs do they have?
Right, yeah. So I think just to know if that would be useful or if a board resolution just highlighting the issue is equally useful for us, then I think that, might make more sense. And I will work on both of those pieces.
I'm going to say something. I'm a nonpartisan person, but I will say also, I think we should as individuals be letting our representatives know that we just want some kind of compromise to happen so that people are not starving while we're debating issues. These kind of things should not be happening. And I just, on both sides of the aisle, they should be cooperating to not have this happen.
I appreciate that. And actually, Ben West, I think you guys might both know Ben from Clackamas County. He said the same thing. He said, there is a right time and a right way to have policy-related issues. And there may be many people among us who have questions about these huge entitlement programs, and those conversations should be held. This is in no way saying that those conversations shouldn't be held and that policy should not be debated and potentially changed, but not like this, not by broadly just removing the supports from underneath folks in order to cause a crisis, in order to get the conversation going. That's backwards.
I would say this, I did have somebody, I'm not going to say who it was, ask me what would happen if the three of us, if you two didn't agree with me on something, on a policy debate or something, what would we do? And my answer was, if there was a way to continue that debate while also paying people to work their jobs and to provide food for them, that's what we would do. And I feel like there is a pathway for that. And it's this political theater is going to really hurt people, and enough's enough. We can continue the debate. We should continue the debate, no matter which side you're on, but we should not be holding people hostage for that. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't like to talk about that stuff, but it really is getting to this point where here we are talking about doing food drives in our own building, from different sides of the aisle. Everybody's going to be contributing to that. So everybody's willing to, the American people and the county people are willing to help their neighbors. We have to get through this, and we have to just stop the political theater over and holding vulnerable people hostage. So
Using them as leverage.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't need that to have conversations.
Anyway.
So, thank you both. I appreciate that. We will continue this conversation. And as we see, because we will know by the end of this week whether the federal government agrees and finds a way to fund SNAP so that they can continue the policy debate, or if we are all going to find ourselves as communities trying to backfill while they continue their arguments.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you both. I appreciate the opportunity to have these conversations and to look at our role as a county going forward. Anything else for board concerns or the good of the order? All right, not hearing it, I will go on to our meeting announcements. The commissioners will attend the Tillamook Coast Visitors Association meeting on Wednesday, October 29th, 2025 at 12 p.m. The meeting will be held at the Port of Tillamook Bay Conference Room, 4000 Blint Boulevard, Tillamook. Pause for a moment. I'm not going to this meeting. I understand you guys are going.
But we're going.
Yeah, is it just a regular Tillamook Coast Visitors Association or is there?
Their board meeting.
It's just a board meeting. I've never been to one, and so we have to notice it so we can both be there.
Thank you. I said to Debbie, did I miss something?
Yeah,
Am I
no, it's
supposed
just,
to be
I was just like,
somewhere?
I'd like to go. I forget how that conversation happened, but we have to notice it since we're gonna have.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I didn't miss something,
No.
that I was not failing the
Nothing
county
special's
and not
happened.
showing up. So,
Well-
okay.
It's a surprise party for you.
Right. Or that I won't be at. What's what party you didn't?
Thanks for ruining it.
All right, so the commissioners will hold a board briefing on Wednesday, October 29th, 2025 at 2 p.m. to discuss weekly commissioner updates. The meeting will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. The commissioners will attend the continuation of a public hearing on Wednesday, October 29th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. regarding a series of legislative text amendments for residential and commercial zones of the community of Oceanside, including County Land Use Ordinance Middle Housing Code updates. The hearing will be held at the Port of Tillamook Bay Conference Room, 4000 Blint Boulevard, Tillamook. The teleconference number for this public hearing is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 887-242-77#. The commissioners will attend a quarterly retirement meeting with RVK Consultants on Friday, November 7th, 2025 at 3 p.m. The meeting will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. With that, we will adjourn this meeting at 9:57 a.m.
I have to go. I have to log into OCPMA meeting before I go to report. I do want to sign. I'm actually going to log on while we're sitting. No, that's okay. Do it. I'll just log in while we're sitting there. It's all good.
There's only two.
See you, Matt.
Oh, there's only one. This one's just me.
Hey, Matt. I have an idea. Hear me out.
Heard that before, haven't you?
Hear me out. This is a good idea, and whether or not it's under your division or not, but what about, why aren't we finding a technician or finding somebody and we outfit our own vehicles and then open it up to other coast, kind of like